Josh Paschal.
Josh Paschal. I'm excited. My cousin goes to Kentucky. She's been watching this guy. She told me,
They
she's
hooked up
really
together.
excited. Yeah, no.
Bang, bang.
His cousin hooked up with Josh
No,
Paschal.
she was saying, she's watched it. She loves him.
Huge
she loves
cock.
his energy. Yeah, big old penis.
Lots of
so
lower
that's
body
always
power.
good. Yeah, and that's what like you said, you can never have enough pass rushers. You can never have enough guys to rotate in there to get those fresh legs, to get those giant penises in your locker room and have them going after quarterbacks.
Spencer.
And I'm
Jeez.
excited. I'm really excited. I think he brings a dog mentality too, and he's even he's the guy that is going to keep a chip on his shoulder, and I'm excited. A lot of people were saying it's a reach, and then you got Pro Football Focus saying he was their second-rated edge rusher in the draft. And so, what do you think about him?
So, pick 46. Everybody's talked about the whole culture they're trying to develop and build till we're blue in the face at this point. But there, there's a lot to be said for bringing in these guys who have faced adversity and dealt with some things and been captains in the SEC for a while and been dominant and all that stuff. I'm just going to tell you both that Travon Walker was the first pick in the draft, right? We know this. He has desirable traits as an athlete.
Giant penis.
And very, very little production to go with those traits. Josh Paschal is Travon Walker light. And he does things, the same type of stuff that Travon Walker does. It's not as flashy. He didn't run a 4.5. He ran I want to say he ran 4.77 at 268 pounds. But the things that he does do from a production standpoint are the things that everybody wants Travon Walker to become, which means in NASCAR packages, kind of things where you want to get a little smaller inside in pass rush situations. Paschal's going to tear up guards because he does have a quick first step and he's very effective at using his hands. It's one of the things that pops on film is how impactful he is with his hands and how well he uses his hands, but also how difficult he is to block because of his quickness and his stature. He's like a sawed off kind of player. I want to say he's 6'2.5" and like 268 pounds. So we're talking about a player who plays with natural leverage already because he's short and he's very stout, but he can move and he's very explosive, right? I don't think he's not like a rocket ship coming off the corner, but when you kick him inside, guards have a really hard time blocking him. He's just too quick for them. So in situations where, one of the things that everybody likes about Travon Walker is he's versatile. And, you can play him on the edge, but you can also play him inside because he's big enough to hold up while also being very difficult to block. The exact same stuff applies to Paschal. It's just that Paschal has been very, very productive, where Travon Walker is more of a projection. Josh Paschal is not. He is super productive already. So to me, he's one of the most exciting players. Like Paschal, from where I was with him, and I know this is post-draft, so people are not going to believe me, but if you didn't go edge in round 1, he was one of those guys who stood out at 32 or 34 who would have been really intriguing to bring on. Like Arnold Ebiketie was the same type where, or Boye Mafe from Minnesota. You needed, if you ignored the position at 2, you needed to hit it, at the end of round 1 or early in round 2. And Paschal was one of those guys that I looked at like he would fit, from the cancer diagnosis, from, I think that would happen when he was a freshman. And then just Google the story about his recovery and how much, he had to learn to walk again.
Wow.
He is a dude. He is a dude. And what he is as a player and everything he presents as a person is just incredible. And then throwing that guy in the locker room and adding it to Hutchinson and adding it to the other pieces that they have as edge players, and then looking at his versatility to play edge, to play a little more inside as a 5 technique or a 4-eye kind of player, on the tackle's inside shoulder or even as a 3, which is between the guard and the tackle, I just think it is a lights out pick because of the traits he brings, the difficulty, how difficult he is to block, how tenacious and intense he is as a player. And then it's all backed up on film. It's not like this is, pie in the sky. If he becomes he's already that. So not trying to get people too jazzed up about.
Oh, you are. I'm all jazzed up.
No, honestly, just throw on his film and watch it. And there's so many things to like about what he does from a technical standpoint, the way he uses his hands, how difficult he is to block. So it's all the football stuff that you love. He's a super difficult guy to block in the running game. He's very hard to stay. Like offensive linemen have a very hard time staying latched onto him. So even if he's blocked initially, he finds his way off of those blocks, which is impressive because he does not have long arms, but he's super heavy-handed, and he uses his hands really well. And then you throw in the versatility and all those things, and it's like, this is a guy who really can make plays for them in a variety of ways. Now, I know it's going to take time, and to think about him being a 7-8 sack guy with a bunch of run stops and all that stuff as a rookie, I think that's unrealistic. But you're going to see flashes of that kind of stuff, and he is a very difficult guy to play against. You throw him in there with Hutchinson and some of the other players, that, especially the Jackson State kid, and it's like they really improved their edge play dramatically. But also, they didn't sacrifice anything against the run, because sometimes you have to do that. Like, if you're taking an elite edge rusher, you might be giving up a little on the running game side of things, and they gave up none of that. So you drafted 2 pretty elite athletes and guys who move in a rare way, but guys who are just dudes who love to play football and are absolute run game defenders before they're anything else, who are also pretty elite pass rushers. It's a great pick. Now, I know the problem is that it's you double dipped on the position, and people don't like that because you've already hit the position once. Why do you need to do it again? Well, versatile. We detailed it out earlier. You had needs. You have needs. My guess is Paschal was graded for the Lions somewhere where I had him, which is in like the 30 range. They probably viewed him more favorably than some of the other edge players that went in front of him, simply because of his ability to play the run and to be a physical tone-setting guy who fit where they are and their culture and all this stuff, while being an elite athlete and doing elite athlete things. I love that pick. It's a great pick.
Honestly, yeah. Now that I didn't know the whole story, he had to literally rehab how to walk again. Like, that's actually kind of insane, given what he is now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's definitely a guy you want on your team.
Yeah, I mean, there's some big picture perspective stuff with him where that this dude's dealt with adversity, and you know how he's dealt with it, and it's the reason why he's a 3-year captain at Kentucky, because of the respect he commands, because of his work ethic, because of his desire, and all of the intangibles around him. You can't just gloss over those things. It'd be different if he was just an average athlete who was ineffective, as a pass rusher and all these things. He's an elite athlete. He can do a lot of things for this team, and he's one of the building blocks of their defensive line. And again, year one, we need to have realistic expectations for all these guys, but you can see how he fits long term in a variety of ways, being versatile enough to do a bunch of things at a high level while being a dog. Yep. And it's just the best way to put it. I mean, he is a dude.
And he's got a guy there like Michael Brockers to kind of mentor him in that role that he's already kind of used to playing in Kentucky already, just at the NFL level. Because Michael Brockers is another guy who talk it, back inside and outside and all over the place.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's there's a lot of things to love about this defensive line going forward, and I don't think you could have said that a year ago.
Who was that? Remember that big bad? There's a white defensive tackle for San Francisco. I'm trying to think of his name.
Justin Thomas.
Justin. Is it Justin Thomas or Tucker?
Thomas, I think.
Solomon Thomas was there, but I'm talking
about the white guy, number 94. Like a blonde beard, who's the badass. But I don't know. That's what Paschal kind of reminds me of a little bit. He played that defensive end, three technique type thing.
Yeah, he can play. Just his ability to play as a 3 or a 4 or a 5 kind of stuff, and be super effective doing it while also being a guy who you could just unleash from the edge too. I think there's so many things about his game that are interesting, and a lot of it is his foot quickness, his leverage, his hands, all those. He's a dude. It's
Justin
just
Smith.
Justin Smith. There
Justin
it is.
Smith. Yeah,
that's one I was.
He's
Is that a fair comp?
He's just a dude. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I loved the pick. I loved it in the moment. It felt like a letdown. We were doing day 2 coverage. Russ Brown and I was stick.
You guys killed it, by the way.
The room got quiet, and it was just like,
you're the only one smiling. You're the only one bringing the happiness at that pick. You're like, I love it. I loved him as a player, and everything that he does is high end without being like super super flashy. So we'll see what they decide to do. If they could ask him to get a little bigger, and I could see him playing a lot of 3 or some 5 where he's just eating up space. But right now, super intriguing player. Very intriguing player. Really good pick.
Give me some ganja. 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 Give me some ganja.